How's it guys? I'm Bruce Wallace and I'm from Pretoria, South Africa, and I'm here at Beaten Time Studios. And today I'm going to show you a little bit how I tune a bass drum. At least how I seat the bass drum head initially to get a good starting point for tuning the bass drum, because I believe that's where it goes wrong in a lot of instances. I use this technique for tuning toms as well and for tuning bass drums. Basically where I want to try and keep the tension as even as possible around the circumference of the drum head. I don't use a drum key because I find that the drum key is misleading. A lot of people, including myself, tend to feel the tension of the drum key and use that as a guide to how tight it should be, and they go by that feel. The problem with that is that the lugs are not always consistent in their resistance, and it sometimes paints the wrong picture. So initially I try to use just my fingers to tension the bass drum, and I also use the resistance of the hoop against the head itself on the bearing edge to measure the resistance there, because that gives me a much more accurate feel of how high the tension actually is. And then you just simply turn down the lug onto that tension and it is way more consistent. So what I have here is I have just a standard, this is a Remo Weather King suede Power Stroke 3 bass drum head on the bass drum. It's completely loose and untuned, it's just resting on the bearing edge at the moment, and the hoop is just against that, and all the lugs are loose and have not even, the tension rods are not even hitting the washer yet, so there's a gap between the tension rods, so it's extremely loose. Okay, so the first thing I do then is I just go and I, with my fingers on the opposite ends of the drum as much as possible, I just put the tension rods down just until they start hitting the washers all the way around. And then the next thing I do is I just go and I push down a little bit all around just to make sure it is pushing evenly, you know, the hoop isn't set funny or something like that happened, and then that's still pretty loose. Now then, this is where you get into the tuning element of it, and then what I simply do here is either go to one side and I push down the counter hoop onto the head, so it creates a little gap now. You can see it just lifting up there, push, and now I turn until it hits the washer, like that. That's the little bit of tension. And the same then on the opposite end. Push down and turn. Push down, turn. Push down and turn. Next thing I'll do is I'll just tap around the bass drum head, and voila, it's already got a little bit of tone there. It's still very loose, but it's remarkably even just on that. Now what I would probably do is, just to give it a little bit more tension than this, you know, some guys think that's enough, finger tighten, no more, that's personal taste. I like just a little bit more to give it more tone. So I'll just push down once more and I can hear I've got a tone there. And that's it. Bass drum head tuned. I almost guarantee you put that down and play it, it's going to probably sound pretty good. From there, the head is now seated, it's even, you can just go and tune it up and down now, probably with a drum key, just try and keep your turns even now. At least you know the tension is even, the head is evenly placed on the bearing edge, it's not pulled to one side, you don't have wrinkles on one side, it's all nice and smooth and even. So I've put the bass drum down and I just want to have a quick listen to it. And it sounds good to me. So if this works for you, great, leave some comments. If you have other methods that you feel are more effective, then let us know as well. But thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this works for you. Cheers.